Hey guys, a couple of days ago, I had a video on the first game of the 1907 World Series talking about some of the best World Series first games, I guess we could say games won of all time, especially those that we've forgotten about. Well, it's time to talk about another one. And this one, I think, is actually quite remarkable. So we'll go ahead and take a quick look here and see what we can figure out. This is 1912 World Series Game 1. Of course, if you know anything about baseball, you know about the 1912 World Series, one of the most famous of all time. Went the distance, had that great eighth game required because Game 2 was a tie that went 11 innings before darkness stopped it. The first game, though, is one that tends to be forgotten. This was a great game, but for interesting reasons. So the Red Sox actually had a 4-2 lead going into the bottom of the ninth inning. We'll scroll down here to the bottom of the ninth, and I'll show you what happened. So Smokey Joe Wood, who was very, very famous that season. I mean, you know all about Smokey Joe Wood. Sorry about that. Here we go. You know all about Smokey Joe Wood, right? And all the things that he did back then. I mean, Smokey Joe Wood only won 34 games in 1912. Wood was so good that season, and here he was pitching the first game of the series. Now, the fans in New York and Boston were hoping that the Giants would have big six on the mound. You know, I'm talking about Mathewson, but they decided not to, instead going with Jeff Tesreau. Jeff Tesreau in 1912 was a rookie. Had a 1.96 ERA, but won only 17 games. I guess you could put it that way. 1.73 ERA plus. I mean, this guy was fire. Great pitcher. But didn't work out so well for Tesreau. The big blow came in the top of the seventh inning with 1-2 singles, and then with two men out, a big double by Harry Hooper and then Steve Yerkes, who put the Red Sox up 4-2 after having that 2-1 deficit. Bottom of the ninth inning rolled around. It was still 4-2. Red Murray of the Giants hit a fly ball to right, and then up came Fred Merkle. It's amazing how you remember a guy for the one mistake that he made, because here he's hitting a single to center field, followed by Buck Herzog hitting another base hit to right. Merkle goes to second. Jack Myers, the catcher, then singles to right, scoring Merkle. Buck Herzog went to second, and then Myers went to third, and then Myers went to second on the throw home. And that brought in our old friend Beals Becker. Remember him from the Pirates in 1908. He pinch ran for Myers. And then comes the interesting part. So Art Fletcher was the number 8 hitter for the Giants. He stays in this game, doesn't bunt, and he strikes out. And then comes Doc Crandall, who's the pitcher, who stays in the game and strikes out. Now think about that for a second. So you got a 4-3 ball game with only one out, bottom of the ninth, runners on at second and third. John McGraw is the manager, and he doesn't bunt. Instead, he has Art Fletcher swing away, and Doc Crandall then comes up, the pitcher, and there's no pinch hitter, and he strikes out. That is just absolutely incredible to me. So a couple of things we want to look at first before we to help us understand what happened. Art Fletcher, 1912, for the Giants, was an all-right hitter. He hit 282 in terms of his average, but 89 OPS plus. So there is some question for like an observer of the game of baseball, what you're doing having this guy on your team, or playing the game at this stage, as he's your starting shortstop, I understand. But you've got to wonder why you don't take him out and rely a little bit on a defensive change. But the one that just kills me is Doc Crandall. Doc Crandall was a good pitcher, right? But, even when you look at his batting in 1912, he hit .313. He had hit .342 in 1910. The guy's a pitcher. I mean, he's hitting, .313 and 80 at-bats, right? I mean, I understand the idea. I know that he's hit home runs in the past. I know he drove in 16 runs that season, right? But, I mean, it's the pitcher. That's the thing. This guy probably is not the guy you want to count on in the clutch. And that gives you a little idea of where we're going next. I'll show you one more thing before we go there, though, which is that the Giants had guys on the bench who could have helped them. If I'm managing the team at this level, I'm going to look right away to Josh DeVore. Josh DeVore hit 275 that season, and I'd be thinking, well, maybe we put in DeVore as a pinch hitter, Or if not him, we can look at Tilly Schaefer. Tilly Schaefer hit a clean 288 that season. And look at that. He played a lot of shortstop. So you could technically put in Schaefer, you could put in DeVore or somebody instead of having the number 8 hitter and then the pitcher come up to hit. That's the thing that just drives me nuts. I mean, if that happened today, no matter what the pitcher's hitting, somebody would say, hey, wait a second, what's going on here? That's an odd thing. You would think that would happen in 1912, right? Well, you would think wrong. So I went through, you can look this up on the blog. I went through every single game from every single newspaper article for 1912. And I'll tell you what I kept seeing. So how Smokey Joe saved the game, he says, man on second and third base is only one man out, and the Giants needing only 1 run to tie and 2 to win. That was not a nice thing to contemplate from the way I looked at it, but that was what we were up against, and there was no getting away from it. I managed to get Fletcher on strikes, but I had to work for it. I was afraid he might attempt to bunt and try to get Herzog home in a squeeze play. What was I just telling you, right? Why didn't John McGraw bunt? That's the most obvious thing to do. I really want to know the answer to this question. Why do you not bunt in that situation? Because that would have been the easy thing to do. You're the home team, bottom of the 9th inning, only 1 out, runners on second and third, and you have a manager who's known for bunting, and he decides not to. So with Fletcher out of the way, making 2 out, it was not quite so bad. Crandall, however, is a hitter, and no one can safely take chances with him. A good single would still win the game for the New York club, and we had no comeback. I thought I would just as soon take a chance with Crandall as with DeVore, for if I passed him, DeVore was likely to turn the trick with the bases all choked up. Right? DeVore, as I was just saying, was he in the ballgame? Did I read this wrong? I did read this wrong. Look at that. No, DeVore was actually starting the game in left field. We take another look at that Giants lineup then. So if DeVore is starting your ballgame, sorry for this. I've been having a problem with this thing, taking this out. Look at this. It was Beals Becker who was the other outfielder. There's your problem. And the other guy you have left perhaps would be George Burns. So maybe you would have Burns come in. I guess that would be your other chance. So it kind of makes sense, I guess. I don't know, whatever. But I mean, think about this. What would it have looked like if they had walked Crandall, the pitcher, intentionally to get to the leadoff hitter, DeVore? Does that make sense? That doesn't make any sense, right? When it had finally got down to 2 strikes and 3 balls, so he got to a full count with them, I noticed that Crandall was standing well away from the plate, so I put one over the outside corner, which he missed, and it was 3rd out with a score 4-3 in our favor. And there you go. So he not only struck out the last 2 batters, but he went to a full count on the pitcher, who finally struck out. I'm going to take a real quick look here and just see if there's anything else interesting worth noting. But I would tell you that the real thing that's worth noting about this game is that I still think that this perhaps was a little bit of a mistake on the part of John McGraw, because you don't want to have the 8 and 9 hitters up in the clutch part of the game and end up having both of them strike out instead of taking a guy out and putting somebody else on. Looking through this really quick, what I am looking for is where the play-by-play account is, because usually they will have a play-by-play account in one of these places, and see what we can find. And it may be something that I've completely missed. At any rate, you see this crowd here. They were watching the Boston Globe scoreboard. They claimed it was a crowd of over 5,000. It looks well over 5,000 people to me. Real interesting stuff to go back and to look through all of this stuff. I'll take a quick look here once again and just make sure that I didn't miss something, and I probably did. You know how it goes. But it's pretty fascinating stuff one way or another. Yeah, I'm not seeing much. And of course, the problem is that we can't exactly go back in time and ask people why they didn't print the entire score of the game. Here we go. Yeah, this is the part right here. So we can just sort of skip on forward to this. Murray sent a long fly to Hooper. Merkel singled to center on a straight ball over the center of the plate. This is, by the way, some of the stuff that you don't get when you look at the retro sheet line score, or you look at what Baseball Reference puts out. Wood paid too much attention to first, failing to take his full swing, and Herzog singles. Failing to take his full swing, I'm guessing they're talking about the old-fashioned windup. Myers smashed the first ball close to the right foul line for 2 bases, scoring Merkel, so they would have given Myers a double instead of a single and then advanced to second on the throw. Men were now at second and third with 1 down, 1 run needed to tie, and 2 to win. Becker ran for Myers. Fletcher struck out. Crandall, one of the best hitters in the business, which I don't believe for a pitcher, probably not true, was up. Wood soon had his man in for 3 and 2. Then came a foul tip. The crowd saw Wood take a lot of time, and after a double preliminary swing, he cut loose. Crandall missed, and the ball went into Katie's big mitt for the game, and there you have it. So, now, was this really one of the greatest first games of the World Series of all time? I'm not sure. I'm a little bit torn on that, right? I mean, of course, it's exciting when you've got the potential tying and winning run on base in the bottom of the 9th inning and 2 guys in a row strike out. I don't think, though, that this game was quite as thrilling as the 1907 game. We're going to keep going through a whole bunch of these, and I'll let you be the judge as to whether you think that one is more exciting than another. That particular game, I think, was memorable, but again, I compare it to the 1907 game with the drop third strike and with all the pandemonium and chaos. I think that this one, unfortunately, is maybe sort of an also-ran in terms of greatness, in terms of real watchability. So we'll leave it at that. Hope that you have a nice day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.